I am the true daughter of the family. However, on the very day I returned to the manor, I fortuitously encountered a confiscation of property. My mother rushed over, embracing me and weeping to the point of near fainting. My child, how have you endured such misfortune? The false daughter managed to escape, while I was consigned to the dreadful prison. They felt a sense of relief, knowing that their beloved daughter and cherished sister would not be buried alongside them. Yet, unbeknownst to them, I am the master of the young emperor. 1. I am the daughter of the minister's residence. It is said that during a visit to my ancestral home, my mother experienced an untimely labor and gave birth to me at a farmer's household. To my astonishment, that farmer's wife also delivered on the same day. In pursuit of a better life for her own daughter, she swapped me with her child, and thus, 18 years passed. It was only one fateful day that my uncle encountered me and, struck by my resemblance to my mother, sent a letter to the capital to inquire about the truth of the events from 18 years ago. When the emissary sent by my father came to retrieve me, I was busy cutting grass to feed the donkey. The maidservant, upon seeing my appearance, looked at me with disdain and triumph as she recounted the numerous advantages of life in the capital, my father's esteemed position, and the throngs of servants surrounding my mother. Had I not known her true identity, I might have mistaken her for my mother. At our parting, my adoptive father waved his hand dismissively, urging me to leave hastily. My adoptive mother, after shedding a few tears, wiped her eyes and said, "Jenner, you haven't taken anything from our home, have you? My dear daughter, you must forge your own path." The remnants of my sorrow evaporated, and I arrived in the capital with unbridled joy. However, fate had other plans. Scarcely had I set foot in the estate when the soldiers came rushing in to confiscate property. I instinctively recoiled, only to find my retreat blocked by the soldiers, forcing me to follow the crowd into the main courtyard. The courtyard was in disarray, with servants scurrying about and the ladies in despair, weeping uncontrollably. The sight of such chaos set my head spinning. Just as I was about to retreat further, the maid who had come to fetch me pushed me forward, exclaiming, "Madam, the young lady has returned." All eyes turned towards me. My mother seemed to pause for a moment before rushing towards me, exclaiming, "My child, you have returned. Why has your fate been so cruel?" I was engulfed in her embrace, nearly suffocated by the overwhelming tide of emotion during our first meeting. After finally extricating myself, before I could even process her heartfelt affection, a woman beside us screamed at the soldiers, "I am not the daughter of the Zhao family. I am the daughter of a farmer, switched at birth. She is the rightful heir of the Zhao family. Do not arrest me." The soldiers were momentarily taken aback, unsure of how to respond. I too was stunned, instinctively glancing at the Zhao family. My mother continued to weep, lost in her sorrow, while my father wore a cryptic expression and my elder brother's face betrayed a tumult of emotions. A leading figure approached my father with a semblance of respect, inquiring, "Master Zhao, could you clarify the situation?" While my father hesitated, my mother clutched me tightly, lamenting, "This is my daughter, the one I have lost for 18 years. My unfortunate child, who will suffer upon returning home." I pushed gently against her, wishing to convey that had she not clung to me and wept, this suffering could have been avoided. My father finally spoke. "Indeed, this is our youngest daughter, who has grown up outside and is unaware of our ways. We hope you will take good care of her." How preposterous. 2. I was imprisoned alongside the Zhao family. The false daughter, Zhao Jinru, who had enjoyed 18 years of privilege, brushed off her sleeves and withdrew unscathed. I felt certain that the misfortunes that befell me on that day were due to my failure to consult the almanac before leaving the house. "Child, what is your name?" my biological mother asked tentatively. At this moment, she seemed to remember to inquire about my name and had ceased her weeping. I replied curtly, "Shenzhen." My biological father glared. "You bear the Zhao surname." At this, I retorted indignantly, "I have not consumed a single grain from your household. I have been entangled in this mess since I stepped through the door. Why should I change my name? I am Shun, and I shall remain Shen. If you wish for a Zhao, go find your Zhao daughter." My father's eyes rolled back in frustration, almost fainting from rage. I kindly remarked, "Do not worry about passing out. I possess some medical knowledge and shall not let you remain unconscious for long." And indeed, he promptly lost consciousness. My elder brother, infuriated, raised his hand to strike me. "Shenzhen, How can you speak to our father in such a manner? Look at what you have done. I took a few steps back and shouted, I merely speak the truth. Young man, do temper your temper. It can lead to health issues. Was it indeed a health issue? I pondered nervously. Nevertheless, they would not comprehend, and I assumed I could deceive them. As expected, my brother did not question my words. Instead, he attempted to chase after me, prompting the guards to shout in anger, which finally quelled his pursuit. My biological mother, tears streaming down her face, called for the guards, pleading for my father's life. The guards entered, assessed the situation, and declared he was merely unconscious and in no grave danger, urging her to cease her wailing. My mother's cries were heartbreaking. I cleared my ears, stepped forward, and pressed on my father's pressure point. He stirred back to consciousness. This time, he had learned his lesson, refraining from shouting, but his gaze was filled with malice as he glared at me. I glared back defiantly. Who was afraid of whom? My mother approached again, wiping her tears. My child, Jenner, I understand you bear a heavy heart. You have suffered for so many years, and now you must endure this hardship alongside us. But what choice do we have? We cannot deceive the emperor. I rolled my eyes. It was said that my biological father was guilty of treason, yet now he feared deceiving the emperor? Furthermore, if you do not speak of your family matters, who would dare to make definitive claims? My father spoke with a hint of resignation. You are but a village girl. Even if you do not enter here, you can do nothing. However, your sister, raised as a noble lady since childhood, will surely find a way outside. Was that meant to be comforting? Very well. It was straightforward. Unfortunately, I could not accept it. My biological mother added, Yes, Jenner, do not hold resentment towards your parents. We are, after all, one family. A family that stands united, a family that perishes together. My elder brother nodded vigorously. Indeed, Shenzhen, we are bound by blood. You must learn to empathize.
Oh,
Empathize by joining you in demise. I found these people truly irksome, their incessant bickering extinguishing any remnants of familial affection I once held. Alas, I would rather sleep. 3. I was awakened by the sound of soft weeping. Upon opening my eyes, I was met with Zhao Jinru's tear-streaked face. Mother, I spent a considerable sum to procure these provisions. Please take them. Father, you and mother must take good care of yourselves. I am already devising a plan. Brother, you must also cherish your health and care for our parents. Quite the eloquent speech indeed. Shifting the tone, Zhao Jinru lamented, Unfortunately, when I left the house that day, I was not allowed to take anything with me, not even a hairpin. I had to sell it for these provisions. I have been sleeping in a dilapidated temple these past few days. Oh, father, mother, I too am frightened. I cast a glance at the large gold bracelet on her wrist and remarked gently, Sister, that gold bracelet you wear must be worth quite a bit. Zhao Jinru instinctively covered it with her sleeve, then, realizing the impropriety, glared at me through her tears. What do you mean by that, sister? This is a birthday gift from father. How could I possibly sell it? I nodded and pointed to the jade pendant at her waist. What about that? Surely it is worth a fair amount. Zhao Jinru faltered, casting a nervous glance at the Zhao family, and wept. That was a betrothal gift from my elder brother. Her tears felt excessive, becoming quite a headache. I resolved to remain silent and refrain from further inquiries. My biological mother turned to glare at me. Sure. How can you harbor such malicious thoughts towards your sister? She is such a good child, even now thinking of holding on to these memories. My biological father sighed. In these times, it is perhaps best to let go of such memories. At least he was somewhat sensible. Zhao Jinru immediately lowered her head. I understand, father. I shall sell these items tomorrow to exchange for silver to plead for your release. But in this situation, those people from before will not even acknowledge my existence. How much silver should I offer to request leniency? As she spoke, she added anxiously, If it is not enough, I am not afraid. I will work to earn silver. I can also embroider. I will make more handkerchiefs. Do not worry, I will earn enough silver to rescue you both. What a splendid display of virtue. My biological father softened his demeanor, pulling her aside to whisper, clearly not wishing for me to overhear. Unfortunately, my hearing has always been acute, and I caught every word. Rower, my father has squandered a substantial amount of silver in the outskirts of the city, initially intended for a different purpose, but I shall refrain from elaborating on that. Now that our plans have failed, words hold no value. Retrieve it, and then seek for what you desire. I smacked my lips. It seems rather unreasonable to forego the silver that was so easily obtained. After all, he is still my father. Once Zhao Jinru departed, I rattled the bars of my cell, attracting the attention of the guard. After he finished his tirade, I chuckled and said, "Could you kindly arrange for me to meet the young prince of the Beishuan Wang family?" The guard, likely aware of my background, scoffed, "Don't waste my time. You think you can just see the young prince whenever you wish?" I scratched my head, realizing the initial conditions were rather lofty. I had intended to meet him, but given the circumstances, I thought it prudent to lower my expectations. To my surprise, I found myself inquiring about the heir of the Zhanghua Ho family. "Are you still asleep?" I retorted. "Do you think these noblemen can be seen at whim? You must be the long-lost daughter of the Zhao family, right? Have you lost your wits?" Such words were somewhat insulting. Angered, I shot back, "Then surely I can meet the personal servant of the eldest son of General Wen, Ji Qing?" Under the guard's inquisitive gaze, I began to fabricate a tale. "You see, I am wronged. I had promised Ji Qing a lifetime together. But my father forced me home, and then I found myself in this predicament. I simply wished to bid farewell to my beloved." Just as my words fell, a gust of wind swept by, accompanied by a stinging slap to my face, followed by my father's furious voice. "Shenzhen, have you no shame? The Zhao family has no daughter like you." I deftly dodged and shrugged the guard. "Did you hear that? He claims the Zhao family has no daughter like me, implying I am not truly a Zhao. Furthermore, he just called me Shenzhen, which is indeed my name. You see, I am surnamed Shen, not Zhao. So, might you consider releasing me?" The guard's lips twitched as he scolded my father, reluctantly agreeing to convey my message to my beloved. Of course, one cannot dismiss the notion that he might seek favor with Ji Qing for his own advantage. Upon turning around, my mother wept. "Jinru, how can you so recklessly tarnish your reputation?" I glanced at her, perplexed. Can reputation fill my stomach? Can it help me escape this dire situation? My mother was momentarily silenced. My father bellowed, as a high-ranking official, "How can it be that our family must face such disgrace? Does my presence not count for anything?" I nodded sincerely. "Of course, father. Who wishes to live in despair? You. My elder brother sighed. "Shenzhen as a girl. How can you speak so brazenly? You bring shame upon the Zhao family." I attempted to explain. "Firstly, I am surnamed Shen, not Zhao. So, I cannot tarnish the Zhao reputation. Secondly, romantic affection is entirely natural. Why must that be deemed shameful? Thirdly, do you all insist I accompany you to death?" My brother replied, "Shenzhen, it is not over yet. Who says we must perish? There may yet be a turn of events." My father insisted as my daughter, bearing my blood, "It is only right for you to face this fate with us." "Pa, you should, your whole family should." My mother urged. "Jinru, please understand your father and me. There is no other way." I suggested earnestly. "Actually, there is a way, such as retrieving my sister, for after all these years, people in the capital only recognize her as the true Zhao daughter." My mother sobbed. "Jinru, how could you be so cruel? She is your sister, your own sister." I thought, is this person out of her mind? My father stated, "Thank goodness, I made the decision to bring you here. With your cruel nature, you would not save us even if you were outside." How perceptive of you, showing a hint of self-awareness. My elder brother added, "She cannot even compare to Roer. Had I known, I would not have brought her back. She is a blatant ingrate. Once we are free, let us return her." I expressed my gratitude, realizing I had been brought back as a scapegoat. Ji Qing, however, did not delay his arrival, coming swiftly, likely due to the guard's cooperation. I shall have to reward him later. Upon seeing me, he widened his eyes in surprise, about to speak, but I silenced him with a glance. "Ji Qing, you have arrived." I stepped forward and grasped his hand. He visibly flinched. "Well, the child is easily startled." I released my grip. "What are you doing here?" I feigned tears. "I've been implicated. Alas, it's a long story. Shall we speak privately?" Ji Qing nodded, exchanged a few words with the guard, and I was led to a separate cell. Goodness, what is happening? How did you end up in jail? If those gentlemen find out, they would surely flay me alive. Ji Qing fussed, offering me the finest tea and delicacies, making me feel quite embarrassed. But let us set that aside. There is something serious I need to discuss with you. I softly revealed to him the location of my father's hidden treasure, and upon seeing his eyes widen in shock, I kindly warned, "Don't let your eyes pop out. I shall attend to this immediately. Will you return with me to the general's residence?" I shook my head. "Staying here is quite pleasant. The old folks are cheerful. It alleviates my boredom." Ji Qing sighed. "Regarding Minister Zhao, I have heard bits and pieces. Our young master surely cannot resolve this. Perhaps we should let him speak to the emperor?" I continued to shake my head. Why should I inform him? To witness that arrogant expression? Moreover, the Zhao family seeks to usurp his throne. Do you think I would complicate matters for him? Am I that kind of person? Ji Qing's expression was one of exasperation. Truth be told, I felt equally frustrated. What a chaotic situation. I merely wished to cut some grass to feed a donkey. Yet it spiraled into this. Enough is enough. Hurry along. I shall remain for a few more days to cultivate my relationship with my parents and see if any progress can be made. I find it hard, Ji Qing muttered. I glared at him. If you dare to keep a portion for yourself, or fail to secure it, I shall hang you for 3 days and nights. I wouldn't dare. I will go right away, he promised. I cautioned. In life, one must not be completely selfish. Remember to leave a little hope for others, to provide some comfort, understand? I understand. I will handle it well, he assured me. I felt satisfied. It seemed that Ji Qing and I had lingered a bit too long, as upon my return, my father's demeanor had noticeably shifted. After a long pause, he moved closer to me, attempting to play the emotional card. Do you really have a good relationship with the young master servant from the general's residence? I nibbled on the delicacies I had procured, nodding. Indeed, quite good, I speak. And he would not dare to contradict. My father, unconvinced, admonished, "Speak properly. Why must you be so reckless? As a young lady?" I spread my hands. "Then why have you called for me?" After a moment of silence, he finally mustered the audacity to say, "Could you possibly persuade him to intercede on our behalf? To help us find a solution? You have such lofty expectations. How much silver are you willing to offer?" I suspected this old man was harboring secrets. His gaze flickered momentarily as he replied, "Rest assured, Jenner, if the young master truly assists us, I shall certainly not neglect your reward." The promise felt insincere. How could I partake in such empty promises? "Father, are you truly innocent in this matter? Have you engaged in any rebellious acts?" I inquired sincerely. "Shunjun, what nonsense are you spouting? I have devoted myself to the country and its people for so many years. How could I possibly engage in such treachery?" Were it not for the glimmer of guilt in his eyes, I might have believed him. I nodded. Then father must show some sincerity. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. As the Minister of Revenue, he must have hidden away a considerable sum. How else could he have the audacity to rebel? Unless he reveals everything, how could I muster the courage to plead with the young emperor on his behalf? Truly, a wily old fox. He will not shed tears until he faces the king of hell. He likely still harbors thoughts of that sister of mine, who took money to rescue them, and refuses to speak. Instead, he moved me with emotions and enlightened me with reason, imparting profound life philosophies while simultaneously filling my belly with pastries. Overindulged, I found myself unable to be swayed any further. So let him wait patiently. 6 days passed in this manner. Ji Qing, however, returned with reassurances, urging me to rest easy, as he had successfully unearthed the silver and stowed it away securely. He even brought me a bounty of food. As I returned, my mouth glistening with grease and belching from fullness, I encountered the reproachful gaze of my biological father. Startled, I took a step back and asked, "Father, are you hungry?" I trembled as I retrieved 3 dry buns from my bosom, offering them hesitantly. "There's plenty for everyone." My father swatted them away. I frowned. What was wrong? Were Zhao Jinru's buns such exquisite delicacies that mine were fit only for dogs? Realizing his blunder, my father picked up the discarded buns and chuckled. "I merely acted in haste, dear daughter. Is Ji Qing reliable?" I languidly replied. "He appears quite dependable to me." My father still had some silver, I suggested. Why not have Ji Qing retrieve it? He could negotiate with his master on our behalf. I shook my head firmly. "That simply won't he do. Did you not send my sister to fetch the silver? Ji Qing is merely a servant. He cannot sway his master's intentions. It's out of the question." The light in my father's eyes dimmed further, and he fell silent. The atmosphere grew tranquil. That afternoon, Zhao Jinru arrived, weeping and wailing, her attire starkly plain, devoid of any jewelry. She immediately blamed my father for misleading her, asserting that a mere 100 taels was insufficient for negotiations. I frowned inwardly, thinking how Ji Qing had proved unreliable, leaving her with such a paltry sum. Did he not realize how much meat could be bought with 100 taels? My father grew angry, and the two quarreled incessantly until they parted in discord. In the following 10 days, Zhao Jero did not return, while the Zhao family anxiously awaited good news from her. I sighed heavily, lamenting, alas, my sister is likely indulging in a life of luxury elsewhere. She has proclaimed she is no longer a Zhao, so why would she concern herself with our welfare? Unfortunately, they refused to believe me, uniting to castigate me instead. I sighed again, weary of this confinement. I laid my cards on the table with my father. I am acquainted with the young lord of the Beishuanwang family, the heir of the Zhenguo, and the eldest son of General Wen. Also, your majesty, if you would hand over the silver you've hidden, I assure you, your life will remain unharmed. My father scoffed, casting a glance at me. Xinzhen, have you lost your senses during your confinement? If you truly knew them, would you still be here? I sighed. Do you not believe me? He shook his head. Truly disbelieve? Another shake. I was weary of this game and longed to return home to tend to my donkey. I wondered if my beloved donkey had been well cared for. Surely, my adoptive father wouldn't he have resorted to slaughtering it for meat? The more I pondered, the more troubled I became. I had initially intended to plead for leniency, but since you refuse, so be it. Ha! Such bravado. If you possess the ability, then go ahead and leave. If you manage to escape, I shall believe you. My father disdainfully retorted. And where shall I find the silver once I am out? After spending over a dozen days in confinement without enduring any torture, my father likely harbored an overly optimistic illusion, speaking with unwarranted confidence. Humph. Do not try to deceive me about the silver. Even if I told you, you would have no means to retrieve it. Enough. Conversing with you is merely a waste of my time. I summoned the prison guard, instructing him to relay a message. Have Ji Qing bring his master to see me. The guard laughed derisively. I smiled. Relay my words as I instructed. And tell him to reward you with 20 taels of silver for your trouble. Just say it's from me. You know he has been bringing me delightful treats lately. Surely he understands my worth in his eyes. What harm is there in trying? With my silver tongue, I managed to persuade the guard. Ji Qing and Wen Yan arrived promptly. Young lady, you have finally decided to make an appearance. I hesitated to visit you these past days. Wen Yan bowed, addressing me. Greetings, Shishu. I subtly glanced at my father, catching the look of astonishment in his eyes, and felt a twinge of pride. Let him think I was merely daydreaming. So may I leave now? I asked. Wen Yan smiled. Of course. Where would Shishu like to stay? I shall make arrangements immediately. Your master will surely be delighted to know you have arrived. As he rambled on, I quickly interrupted. All right, enough. Hurry and take me out. I wish to return home to feed my donkey. I have tended to that donkey for 3 months personally. Wen Yan chuckled, gesturing towards the Zhao family behind me. What will happen to them? I shrugged. Can you make that decision? He shook his head. I shot him a quizzical look. Then why ask? Behind me, my father finally sensed something amiss and rushed forward to stop me. My daughter. Do you truly know them? I frowned. I do not speak falsehoods. He took a deep breath. I will reveal the location. Please save us. I waved my hand, pointing at Ji Qing. Tell him. I'm leaving now. My father's gaze flickered, seemingly reluctant to divulge. I could not be bothered. After spending over 10 days in this prison, I felt I had fulfilled my filial duties. I had just finished a hearty meal when Ji Qing returned. He had indeed located the genuine gold and silver in the place my father had mentioned, and the quantity matched. Wen Yan drummed his fingers on the table, asking, Shishu, how do you plan to handle this matter? I mumbled through a mouthful of pastry. Well, even if he has not committed treason, the embezzlement and bribery of such a substantial amount warrant execution. Wen Yan sighed, yet he remains your biological father. I nodded. Exile? Would that be too difficult? If it is, then let it be. Wen Yan laughed heartily. I thought Shishu would allow him to live out his days in peace. I pouted. Actually, I did entertain that thought, but since he remains oblivious, clinging to his false daughter, I shall refrain from being the villain. Once I emerged, news would no longer be concealed. The young emperor soon arrived, his expression stern as he bowed rigidly. "Greetings, master." I chuckled, rising to my feet, scrutinizing him for a moment before saying, "Well, it seems you've grown quite sturdy in these 2 years." The young emperor's expression soured further. "Master, I am no longer a child. You come to the capital and do not see me, yet you meet Wen Yen first." Wen Yen promptly slipped away. I spread my hands. "I wish to see you, but circumstances prevented it." Even Wen Yen nearly missed seeing me. He had to meet Ji Qing first. I have said it before, I don't fancy coming to the capital. These formalities are dreadfully tedious. The young emperor's demeanor softened slightly. "What of the jade pendant I gave you? Did you not bring it?" I retrieved the pendant from my bosom. "This trinket can still allow me to see you?" The young emperor's expression brightened. "Naturally, in the future, when you seek me, simply present this jade pendant." I nodded. "When did master arrive in the capital? Where are you staying?" I was oblivious. "I have been in the capital for over 10 days. I know not where I reside. Could you arrange it for me?" The young emperor's expression turned peculiar, a mix of joy and anger, finally restraining himself to ask, "Then where has master been staying these past days?" "In prison," I replied candidly, recounting my experiences in confinement over the past days. The young emperor frowned, his expression darkening again. "Is master seeking to plead for me?" I smacked my lips. "There is some merit to that. By the way, I managed to extract the silver that Zhao old man had hidden. I will have Ji Qing bring it to you shortly. Oh, my dear disciple, could you spare me 100 or even 1,000 taels? I have long contemplated opening a tavern, and 1,000 taels would suffice. Wouldn't you agree?" The young emperor's face shifted through a myriad of expressions before finally letting out a sigh, softly conceding with a good. I was utterly perplexed, feeling that today's youth had become increasingly inscrutable. Is this what they refer to as the heart of an emperor? Upon reflection, I realized I was not much older than the young emperor. He had been frail as a child, sent to my adoptive father to learn martial arts and cultivate his character. My adoptive parents were not the original farmers. That peasant woman likely thought that raising me after swapping children would entail excessive grain, so she abandoned me in the mountains. Fortunately, luck has always been on my side, as I found myself in the care of adoptive parents. They, having never borne children of their own, were undeniably delighted to have taken me in. I was a child nurtured by affection, albeit compelled to learn an array of skills that were deemed essential. When the young emperor sought my tutelage, my adoptive father happened to be away on his travels. During those years, I was the solitary inhabitant of the mountains, and the arrival of a companion was a welcome change that I would not let slip away. The young emperor at that time was still an adorable little boy. He believed everything I said. I deceived him into thinking I was a celestial being from the heavens, capable of various magical feats, and that the old emperor had summoned him to learn from me. To my astonishment, he believed wholeheartedly, convinced that I was an ageless witch. Upon my adoptive father's return and meeting the young emperor, he remained silent for a moment, ultimately granting his tacit approval for me to take him as my disciple. Thus, I truly became the mentor of the young emperor. In a bid to not be outshone by my own pupil, I diligently devoted myself to my studies. During this time, the young emperor visited home several times, bringing along his close friends, which allowed me to become acquainted with them. 2 years ago, when the old emperor fell gravely ill, he urgently summoned the young emperor back to the palace. The young emperor departed and never returned. However, our current meeting appears to be rather unpleasant. In the heavy silence, I shifted uncomfortably, murmuring, "Truth be told, I believe he deserves his fate. If it comes to execution, so be it. Collecting his remains would be my way of repaying their kindness." The young emperor shot me a glare, asking, "What do you propose for leniency?" I hesitantly suggested, "Perhaps exile? We've taken his wealth, and he surely wouldn't dare to rebel again. Should there be a next time, I could take matters into my own hands?" The young emperor sighed. "Then let it be exile. Master, will you stay at my villa tonight?" I fervently shook my head. "I prefer the inn. It has a lively atmosphere. That cold, desolate palace holds no charm for me." He did not press the matter further. 3 days later, I entered the palace, summoned by the young emperor. The Zhao family was also present, including that false sister of mine. Your Majesty, I am wronged. I pride myself on my unwavering loyalty to your Majesty and the court. I implore you to see clearly. I truly know nothing of the Prince of Yu's treachery. Yes, he once borrowed money from me, but I had none to lend. The young emperor regarded him with a bemused smile and revealed the locations of his hidden treasures. My biological father was left speechless. He then turned his hopeful gaze towards Zhao Jinru, ruler. Zhao Jinru kept her head bowed, and before she could speak, young Master Chung from the Duke's household, kneeling beside her, interjected, "Cousin, I mean your Majesty, Ruer is entirely unaware of the Zhao family's affairs. She is merely an adopted daughter and knows nothing of these complexities. Moreover, she is now my concubine. I beseech your Majesty to spare her life." Zhao Jinru wept, her tears reminiscent of falling blossoms, almost causing them to drop. "I implore your Majesty to see clearly. The Zhao family has treated me decently, but since learning I am not a Zhao by blood, their treatment has worsened. They even openly declared that I am not a Zhao daughter upon my biological sister's return. I have since changed my surname to Shen." Having witnessed this spectacle, I could no longer remain silent. I stepped forward. "Zhao Jinru, you should still be a Zhao. This Shen is not meant for you." Zhao Jinru glared at me with resentment. "Sister Zhen, I believe I have never wronged you. Over the years, I have enjoyed the favor of your biological parents, but that was never within my control. If possible, I would prefer not to leave my biological parents. How can you now prevent me from reverting to my original surname? Is this something you can dictate? What a heavy burden to bear. I refuse to take it on." I glanced at the young emperor, who was trying to stifle a laugh, but his face darkened as he pointed at him. "Tell her why she cannot bear the surname Shen." My biological father and mother trembled at my demeanor, my father nearly fainting, his head banging against the ground. "Your Majesty, though Xinjun is of my blood, she has never been raised alongside us. We are not familiar with her. Her actions are not of our doing." My mother, pale as a ghost, exclaimed, "Wretched girl. How dare you command the emperor?" My brother shouted in anger, "Xinjun, if you seek death, do not implicate our family." The young emperor cast a sympathetic glance my way, rising from his seat to approach me with utmost respect, clasping his hands in greeting. Disciple pays homage to master. The room fell into a profound silence, all eyes fixed upon us in disbelief. I must admit, I relished the moment. Affectedly, I raised my hand, feigning distress. "Your Majesty, you flatter me. I have merely taught you for a few years. There is no need for such formality." The young emperor regarded me with a knowing smile, as if to remind me of those naive years when he was compelled to call me master. After a moment, the young emperor clarified, "This is my master, Xinjun. You all should be aware that I grew up on Tianqing Mountain." I cleared my throat, contemplating what to say, when Zhao Jinru raised her voice. "Xinjun, if you can bear the surname Shen, why can't I? I am my father's true daughter." I stared at her in astonishment, taking a moment to grasp her implication. It was almost comical. "Zhao Jinru, do you believe I have stolen your brilliance?" Zhao Jinru nodded emphatically. "I thought I had taken your title as the legitimate daughter. I feel immensely guilty. In truth, my parents have cherished you more, for they would not have allowed you to become the emperor's mentor otherwise." Clearly, this girl is well aware that the young emperor did not choose the mountain lord as his mentor, but opted for his beloved daughter instead. What a pity. Noticing the gazes from the Zhao family turning towards me, I felt no urgency to clarify. I smiled at them. "What do you think?" My father immediately replied, "What belongs to Jinru will naturally belong to her. You cannot take it away." My mother stopped pretending to weep. "Sure. Ruer is indeed more suited to be the mountain lord's daughter. Unlike you, the ungrateful wolf, if she became the mountain lord's daughter, she would certainly plead for us." My brother nodded vigorously. I suspected these people were devoid of common sense. I turned to Zhao Jinru. "So, what is your point?" "Shenzhen, I heard you are not well regarded at home, even reduced to cutting grass to feed donkeys. It seems when you insisted on having the emperor recognize you as his mentor, you resorted to some underhanded tactics. I will not hold that against you, as long as you bring me back to acknowledge my parents. In the future, I will not treat you poorly. I will certainly find you a worthy husband." I finally understood. She, too, was not particularly intelligent. Seeing the young emperor's face grow increasingly grim, I decided to abandon the pretense, saying calmly, since Miss Zhao wishes to return to her biological parents, I will not obstruct her. With that, I glanced at the young emperor and smirked. Did you see that? Such a countenance. After speaking, I shrugged my shoulders. The young emperor indeed appeared to embody the essence of a ruler concerned for his subjects. I had no intention of meddling further in the Zhao family's affairs. Securing them a mere exile had already cost me 1,000 taels of silver. What more could they possibly want? Yet, the young emperor insisted that I had only just reclaimed my biological parents and deserved to grant them an opportunity for recompense. Thus, we found ourselves in today's predicament. Upon hearing my words, the young emperor's countenance darkened, and he waved his hand dismissively. Take them away. All shall be exiled. The Zhao family gasped in shock. Zhao Jinru feigned, please once more. The young emperor, incensed, commanded the eunuchs to silence her. My master is not someone who can be replaced. How naive of you to think you could substitute for my master in providing for my ancestor. Regrettably, your biological parents are mere farmers, who once heartlessly abandoned my master to the wolves. If you hold such affection for your biological parents, I shall ensure you are sent back to them, and no one is permitted to plead on your behalf or obstruct this. As he spoke, the young emperor cast a warning glance at young Master Cheng. With a heavy sigh, I gazed upon the Zhao family, crumpled on the ground, and said kindly, in truth, His Majesty's heart is tender. He wishes to grant you an opportunity for my sake. Yet, since you care not for my life, but only for the well-being of your adopted daughter, so be it, let your family cherish one another. Finally, I turned to the young emperor and declared, send Miss Zhao and her parents into exile as well. Let them be neighbors to my own parents. In due course, the two families shall find affection in one another. The cunning young emperor, seemingly recalling something amusing, chuckled and nodded in agreement. The Zhao family wept bitterly, yearning to plead with me once more, but I had grown weary of their cliched entreaties. On the eve of the Zhao family's exile, I brought fine wine and sumptuous dishes to their prison. My biological father knelt, bowing deeply, and implored, Jenna, I beseech you, help your father this once. If we are exiled, my frail body cannot endure such hardship. My elder brother added, Sister, you are my only sister, and I cannot bear the thought of you abandoning us. My mother lamented, Jenner, my dear child, the mere thought of not seeing you again rends my heart. I gestured towards the food and spoke softly, Father, Mother, from the moment we met, you have never inquired about how I have fared over the years. Every action you have taken, every word you have uttered, has been steeped in considerations of status and self-interest. If I did not possess the status of His Majesty's disciple today, would you even spare me a glance? You would have trampled me into the dust. The gold you have hidden, I have surrendered to His Majesty. Otherwise, given your crimes, exile would be a mere trifling. Father, you know well what you have done. In this world, no one is a fool. Enough is enough. The meal we share now, along with a slightly more lenient life awaiting us in exile, is the utmost I can promise. Upon concluding my words, the Zhao family fell silent. I paid them no mind, pouring myself a drink, and raised my cup, saying, This toast is for you, as repayment for the gift of life you once bestowed upon me. I downed the drink in one gulp, ignoring their cries behind me as I turned and exited the prison. Leaning against the stone wall, I savored the taste of a candied hawthorn skewer. When you emerged from the shadows, teasing me, feeling down? I wiped my face and replied, Not particularly, just a bit uneasy. As I traveled to the capital, I had envisioned tears of joy and abundant affection. Since childhood, I had known I was adopted. Though my foster parents showered me with their unconditional love, I had still dreamt of idyllic scenes involving my biological parents. Yet I shook my head and smiled. Do not comfort me. That would only make me more uncomfortable. Who am I? I am Xinzhen, determined to traverse the world and open a tavern. When you muttered, His Majesty wouldn't let you go so easily, I chose to ignore him. On the day of my departure from the capital, I felt a twinge of reluctance. I would miss the enchanting beauties of the palace and the exquisite delicacies. Yet, my donkey was of utmost importance. I feared that if I delayed my return, my foster father might slaughter it, shattering my dreams of wandering the world. Along the way, I was halted by the young emperor, his face stern. Shenzhen, do you intend to leave without a word? I chuckled awkwardly. He dismissed everyone and pulled me aside, finally asking in a hushed voice, "Xinjin, will you stay in the capital with me?" I turned to see his reddened eyes and shook my head vigorously. "Disciple, you know well my aspirations. If you refuse to grant me that 1,000 taels, do you wish to shatter my dreams as well?" The young emperor fell silent. After a moment, he murmured, you eventually." He produced a stack of silver notes and a property deed from his bosom. "Master, this is my pocket money, all saved for you. And this is the tavern I purchased in Yunzhou 2 years ago." My eyes sparkled as I snatched the notes, counting a staggering 5,000 taels. "You rascal! You hoarded so much silver. Is this truly for me?" Seeing him nod, I tucked the notes away with relief, but returned the property deed, saying, "Let this go. I do not wish to linger in Yunzhou." The young emperor gazed at me with profound eyes. "But Yunzhou is ideal for brewing, and there are many lovers of wine." I hesitated. There were many merchants, capable of transporting my master's wine across the land. I yielded, snatching the property deed from his hand and swiftly mounting my horse. I must depart. Perhaps fate will allow us to meet again. Not daring to look back, fearing that a glance would tether me to this place, I set forth. Homeward bound. As for my biological parents and their cherished adopted daughter, their future days of joy were no longer a concern of mine. Rather than dwell on such thoughts, I would rather focus on feeding my donkey. The end. Thank you for listening. I look forward to our next story.